Welcome to BizTV's Beyond the Brand. I'm Kelly Phillips. Today I'm joined by Gentry Meyers. Kim is a singer-songwriter, visual artist, and an advocate who blends her love of music, art, and storytelling to inspire and give voice to the unheard. We'll be right back with more Beyond the Brand. Our next guest is a multi-talented singer-songwriter, visual artist, and a lifelong advocate for compassion and creativity. She blends music, art, and storytelling to inspire hope, uplift others, and give voice to the unheard. We're happy to welcome Gentry Meyers to the show. Hi, Kim, and I understand we can add author to that long list of accomplishments. Tell us about your new book.
Hello, Kelly. So glad to be with you today. Thank you for having me. Yes, I'd love to talk about the new book. So it's called Herald Reflections, and it was just released recently through Fitting Words publisher. And it is a devotional, Kelly, but it also includes art and it includes music, all original from me. So just so excited to get it in the hands of people and hopefully encourage and inspire.
And I see the sunsets behind you, and I understand sunsets are a big part of that book. Tell us the importance of sunsets and why they're there.
Yes. I decided to show a couple just to kind of explain the story. So, Kelly, maybe 3 or so years ago, I was really feeling like I needed some direction from the Lord. And so in my quiet time, I said, Lord, who am I to you? What do you have for me? I'm kind of at this crossroads in life. What do you want me to do next? Who am I to you? And he told me just so clearly, Kelly spoke to my spirit and said to me, you're my herald. And I thought, what in the world? That was not what I was expecting. So we kind of kept talking about that and he just kept saying, you're my herald. And so, well, I know what a herald means, right? To proclaim, to share information, to proclaim the good news. And so, of course, I wanted to do that. And I said, well, Lord, I'm in. Okay, I want to do this. What do you want me to do? And he said two things to me, Kelly. He said, make an album and paint. And so the painting part really caught me off guard because I have painted throughout my life, but I had not done it for quite a while. And you know how sometimes you get into the kind of just rut of thinking, well, I'm not really the best at it, so why not do it? I'm not good enough. The world doesn't need another painting, whatever. So I was just done. I put down the brushes, Kelly, to be honest. And he said, paint. And to encourage me, he literally started dropping images of sunsets into my head. And so I painted 8 sunsets, one for each song on my Herald album. And the two behind me, this one was from my album, Herald, which released in 2023. And then this one is the book cover, Herald Reflections, that just released. So that is the sunset story. And now I go around and I do painting classes and teach people how to paint these paintings and tell the story and just to try to encourage and inspire.
Do you look at yourself or call yourself an artist now too?
I will tell you, this has helped a lot. I think we all are so hard on ourselves. We don't want to call ourselves something because we just think, well, we're not good enough, whatever. Not true. We're all artists, Kelly. We're all heralds and we're all artists. And so, yes, I absolutely claim that title of artist. And I think I have a lot more confidence to do it because I really feel like the Lord has put it in my heart to step out and do it. And so, when I think about the mission of why I'm doing it and to encourage others to step out into their own creativity and to be a herald themselves, it gives me the confidence that absolutely I call myself an artist now.
So in this book, it's part devotional, part art. What was your vision in blending scripture, music, and painting all into one cohesive experience?
Yeah, so when my album Herald came out in fall of 2023, I found myself telling the stories behind the songs a lot. They're all original songs written by me. And as I told the stories behind each song, I thought, I need a way to be able to share those stories with more people because I can only tell the story so many times, right? It's just in front of whatever audience you're singing in front of or whatever interview you're doing. And so at the same time, people kept asking me, well, where's the art? You talk about the sunsets, where are they? And so I had them on my website, but there just was no good way to share with the masses. And so I thought, well, if I made a book, I could tell the story behind the song, one for each chapter. I could show each painting, and I could really put together the story of how I became a herald and what the Lord deposited into my heart and my spirit. And then in turn, hopefully encourage others to step out, be a herald, and use their gifts. And so that's really how Herald Reflections was born. It was just a way to really capture this whole herald experience that I had been going through, and a way to share my music and art in one cohesive way, because I could not find an example of a book that has done this. I couldn't find, some kind of blueprint to use to do it. So I just created my own.
What's been the response to your book thus far?
Yeah, I've been really, really encouraged by the response. I think people really appreciate the multimedia approach. So, if you are kind of just in the mood to look at some art, then you have the paintings. If you want to read a poem, the lyrics to my songs are all in the book. If you want to just listen to music, I have a QR code to the YouTube playlist on my YouTube page that has all the songs. If you're looking for some devotional kind of quiet time with the Lord, each chapter has a devotional based on the song. All of the scriptures that I use, I wrote them out for each song, some questions and a prayer. And so you can kind of use it as a meditation time or as just, enjoying a multimedia art experience. I think that's what I've heard the most, is people appreciate that there are a lot of different ways to consume this book and to get encouragement.
Yeah, because some people are visual, some people are more auditory, and some people are a blend of both. So you've hit it all. As far as your songs, you said you have written all of your songs.
Yes,
Where does the inspiration come from?
Oh my goodness. I'm one of those people who don't just sit down and write, say, okay, I'm going to write a song today about this topic. Any song I write comes out of usually prayer and quiet time, scripture readings that I'm doing, just something that the Lord deposits into my heart to do. Or it's maybe a difficult time I'm going through, and I want a way to express that. And I think, well, if I'm going through a difficult time, other people probably are too. So each song kind of, there's a real reason for it, and so each story kind of tells the reason for it. For instance, sometimes I find myself getting too caught up in, just the mundane current every day, trying to just, live our lives and make it and whatever. And I have to stop and pause and say, gosh, this is not all there is. This world is fleeting. This is not heaven. I need to really make sure that I'm focused and sowing into and, talking about, proclaiming the world that is to come. And so that's where the song "This Isn't Heaven" came from. So that's just an example.
All of this is just mind blowing because you've got a long list of accomplishments. How do you manage to fit it all in? I mean, singer, songwriter, author, inspiration, coach. I mean, the list is never ending.
Oh, well, you're very kind. I think, you just take day by day. What do I need to do today? What are the priorities? What am I really trying to accomplish in this season? So what I found, Kelly, is, different seasons, just different things have come to the forefront. And right now it's really about trying to just encourage people and ask people, hey, read the intro to this book, talks about why it's called Herald and Herald Reflections, my experience. And, it's to encourage people to also step out and, use those talents that maybe you've been sitting on. Maybe you just think, gosh, the world doesn't need another this or that. Yes, they do, because your voice is completely unique. Nobody is like you. The Lord deposited specific talents and skills and perspectives into you when He created you, and He does not make mistakes. And so the world does need your voice. And so that is really the season I'm in right now. But I think it's all about just balance and doing what, you feel is important in a certain season.
So many people hear that voice, but they don't take action. What was it for you that pushed you to actually take that first step?
Yeah, it really was the quiet time with the Lord when He said, "You're my herald." And I think just being able to feel like I had, some guardrails, okay, I have a plan now. If I'm a herald, what do you do as a herald? Well, you're working for the Lord. You're telling the good news. You're encouraging people. Well, how can I do that? Well, then I kind of just, took His guidance on what skills and talents I had. You cultivate them to the best you can, but then you have to take that leap of faith and step out. And I think, like you said, when people hold back and don't do things, I think they just feel stuck or paralyzed because they never feel ready, but you're never going to feel ready. You're never going to feel like it's perfect. You could always make a little tweak. I mean, I look at these paintings now and think, oh, I could have done this or that. But there's a walk away point where you say, you know what? This portrays, and communicates what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to publish this book. I'm going to, put these songs out into the world. I'm going to show these paintings and I'm going to talk about it, because if I can just do it, then anybody can do it, Kelly. I mean, anybody. So.
Well, we need to take a quick break, but if you don't mind, stick around because we want to talk more when we come back.
That's great.
All right, Kim, we'll be right back with more BizTV after this. And we're back with author, singer, songwriter, artist extraordinaire, Kim Gentry Meyers, to talk more about Herald Reflections, her latest book. I noticed whenever you held up the book is soft cover. Mm-hmm. Why was that important to you? Because I know there's a message there.
Yes. A lot of art books, which this is, I call it part art book, part devotional, because it really is. There's a painting for each chapter that I did. Most art books are hardcover, and my publisher was like, Kim, are you sure you don't want to do, hardcover? We could make a really nice coffee table book out of this. I said, no, I want it soft cover because I have a jail ministry. And I can't bring it into jails and prisons if it's hardcover. They won't allow it. So by making it soft cover, it's just more accessible. I can get it in more places and more people's hands. It's also a little bit of a lower price point. So, it's just kind of an accessibility issue for me. And it's really worked out well so far, I have to say. Yeah.
So you mentioned ministry in the prison system. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I had been wanting to go into that setting for quite a while. I really felt, just the call to do that, just to encourage women and just speak into them, just speak hope and life into them. And I was finally able about a year ago to start going in with my church. COVID restrictions have kind of delayed a lot of things. So I was loving that work with my church, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper, and I wanted to just get to know women in kind of an organic way. And so I went to inmate services, and they're wonderful at our local jail, and said, hey, I would love to bring a creativity class to the women here. And could we do something, whatever they want to do? I could help them write songs. I can help them paint. I can, there's all these different things we could do. And so we asked them, this group of women that, that are in a lot of programming, and eligible for programming. And they said, we would love to paint. We don't have, there's not a lot of color around here. We would love to see some color. We would love to be creative. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to teach them these 8, a simplified version of each of these 8 Herald paintings. And so, once a week, we've been doing this, and, it's so cool to see their own kind of, their artistic style come out in their version of each of these, Herald 1 through 8 paintings. And while, they're kind of doing that, I'm able to get to know them and just kind of, speak encouragement into their lives. And, so it's really been, they always say when you volunteer or do something, you get so much more back than you give. And that is so true here, Kelly. I mean, it's just been such an uplift for me. These women have become good friends, and, you just hear their stories and you think, oh my goodness, you need to know you're loved, and that your voice matters, your perspective matters, and you have unique talents to share with the world. And so, the paintings are just a way of really tangibly showing that to them. And they've been really excited about the results, I think, of their work.
And you've learned lessons along the way just by volunteering with these women. Can you maybe share one of the lessons that you've learned along the way?
Absolutely. Well, I think we're so similar at our core. When you start talking to women about their experiences and some of their challenges, and then, how do you bounce back from that? And what's that kind of internal self-talk dialogue going on? And, we're just so similar. And so I think what I've found is, if we really base our identity in ourselves and our past and what we do, we always end up with problems, but if we can base our identity in Christ and really, look to him and his provision and his calling, that's where we can kind of come around each other and have this common cause and this common identity and understanding. And so I think we're just all so similar. We're so much more similar than we are different. And it's just taught me so much about stepping out. And because I was like, who am I to go in here again? Right? Here's that little thing slipping in. Who am I to go in there? Hey, I have this book and I just want to share it with you. And the responses have been really positive.
Do you think this is something that you will continue, is to give back in this way?
Absolutely. Yes. We are starting our next series. And I'm looking to branch out to do this in more, jail and prison facilities and also other groups. So as I'm out talking about Herald Reflections, talking with women's ministries, just all kinds of different groups, there's one version that I do where I will teach one of the paintings and then we'll kind of do a deep dive into a chapter and the song and the questions and reflection and all of that. So yes, I plan to incorporate art into everything I do because I think it's a great way to just put people at ease. They can do something fun, and it just gets them, I think, in a headspace that's a little more relaxed and more positive about themselves.
Kim, you sound so positive yourself. Were there any challenges along the way for you?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes. I think, sometimes walking through storms makes you more positive in the end because you see where you've been and where you are now, and you're just thankful for every opportunity. I know, mental health and depression is something I've struggled with for a long time, and I actually am very transparent about that in chapter 2 of this book. The song is called Mind of Christ, and it talks about, really looking to Christ to renew your mind and just really taking every thought captive and all of that. And I have found that's a really effective tool, along with, a lot of other healthy practices that I use. But I talk about in the book, just walking through seasons. And I actually did a music video for this song, which is also linked in my YouTube playlist, which the QR code is obviously in the book. And so I did a music video, and it shows going from kind of darkness to light, and that slow process, and it kind of plays on these colors as well. So I think I'm hoping that's a really positive and healthy tool for people who might be experiencing, depression challenges as well. And it's just, again, I think you take one day at a time and you focus on what's the priority, and you just root yourself in Christ.
And I think it's one of those things that in today's world, we're getting more comfortable talking about it, which I think is a huge help for a lot of people because so many have struggled in the dark for so long. And this is a way for them to open up and express themselves to other people who have also gone through the same thing and let them know that it's okay.
Yes, I so agree. And, that's one of the reasons we released Herald Reflections in May, because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so just decided to really lean into that. And I agree, Kelly, when I was growing up, you just didn't talk about that stuff. Mm-hmm. You just really did it. And so, you kind of keep it to yourself and you just deal with it. Right. And so I think, like you say, the more we can talk about it and be open and transparent, I think the more we find we're not alone. And I think that also gives us the confidence and encouragement to step out and do things that maybe we would not have done otherwise.
So what's one thing that you want the readers or the listeners to take away from your book, your music?
Really just this idea that we are all heralds. We are all called, to use our gifts, to point people, in a positive direction. And I just hope by telling my story and being very transparent, especially like I said, the introduction of the book tells my whole story about how I got to this point of writing the album Herald and writing and publishing the devotional book Herald Reflections. If they can learn from that, gosh, she did this. Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could ask the Lord, who am I to you? What do you have for me? And then really listen and then deploy it, really step out and do it. If that could happen, that is really the main thing I'm looking for here. I just want to help everyone be a herald in their own way and whatever they're doing. And just to celebrate that. That's the other thing. When I sang at a wonderful concert at a church on Saturday, not this past Saturday night. And I was talking to a couple of women and they were telling me what they're doing. And I was like, thank you for being a herald. Thank you for being a herald. You're doing it, and they were like, oh, wow, I guess I am. People don't think about it. And so I think you want to encourage people to step out, but also celebrate when they do. I think those are two really important things and ideas I would love people to get out of this book.
So where can people find your book, your YouTube page? Give us all the information. Where can we find you?
Absolutely. So everything I do can be found on my website. It's kimgentrymeyer.com. And as far as the book, you can also find that on both my website that I just named and on Amazon.
All right. Easy enough. And your YouTube page, do you want to mention that?
Yep. It's just at Kim Gentry Meyer. So that's my handle for all social media is Kim Gentry Meyer.
Well, Kim, thanks for sharing your story and best of luck. And we can't wait to see what's next for you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And it's been so much fun. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. And we'll be back with more BizTV right after this. Thanks for watching BizTV's Beyond the Brand. Be sure to subscribe to the BizTV YouTube channel, where you'll find full episodes of this show, a 24/7 live stream, fresh BizTV content, and a few surprises each week to help you stay inspired.